some of the more potentially serious issues, if you feel that your therapist isn't helping you after a certain amount of time of being with them, and I don't know if there is I don't have the answer to a fixed time after how many sessions do you feel better. This is so individualistic. If you feel that you're not getting or you're not feeling better after 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 sessions, you may need to think about what's going on. Is there something that you are not doing, or is there something that you feel is lacking in the therapist? And if so, it may be time, or it may be an indication that you need to change your therapist. I'm also saying this in the context of, I know a lot of unfortunately a lot of parents are reaching out with issues related to their kids, teenage kids, pre-teen kids, and there is a popular almost celebrity therapist, and that therapist and the therapist and their spouse work together. The therapist is the psychologist and the spouse is the psychiatrist. And unfortunately, I was earlier aware of only a few cases. Now I have been made aware of few more cases in which children have been sent, or teenagers or children have been sent to this psychologist, and they have become worse after therapy with that psychologist. And I don't know how that would happen. I don't know why that would happen, but it has happened, because I know of some cases that cannot be denied. There are people that I know that could not be making up this kind of stuff. And even if they, and sure, this is possible with you going to any psychologist or any therapist. So I'm not saying I recommend XYZ person or I don't recommend XYZ person. I'm just warning you that there are people like this who have established brand names for themselves as counselors for children. And, buyer beware. Don't just go by word of mouth of who's the most popular therapist on the block for kids, because they may be doing a disservice to you and your child. In this particular case, this psychologist ends up referring a lot of their patient, his or her patients, to his or her spouse, who's a psychiatrist. And a psychiatrist's job ends up being prescribing medication. I don't judge you if you think you or your child needs medication, but do question and research and study what is being prescribed, why is it being prescribed, and use it as a last resort. If it is not required, if you can try some alternate therapies before getting your child onto some sort of a pharmaceutical, some sort of a SSRI, mood enhancer, serotonin reuptake inhibitor, because there are a lot of side effects of these pharmaceuticals. They're highly addictive. They're very difficult to come off of. Some of them have black box warnings that in this particular case, this psychiatrist did not warn the parents about. You will hear a little bit more about this on episode 21, which will come out, which is also, as I said, with Dr. Sahni, in which I've discussed black box warnings. So if you have gone to a psychologist with your child and suddenly they are being recommended that they need to see a psychiatrist, question that decision and definitely question who is referring whom to you. Means if this person is, this is a no-brainer conflict of interest. If the psychologist is referring his or her spouse to you for your child, that, I think you need to see this psychiatrist and they will recommend medication because I think your child needs medication. Now, it may be that your child's case is so severe that they actually need medication. But go ahead, get the medication from a psychiatrist, but do not get it from that person's spouse who's the psychiatrist. Because don't you think there's a conflict of interest there? This is a no-brainer. So by all means, go to another psychiatrist who's unrelated. In this scenario, there is an incentive. The psychologist has an incentive because he or she is keeping the spouse's practice alive. And not only that, this, so it's great. This is all in the family. This is business all in the family. This may be a little repetitive, but I think it's extremely important, because the last person in this, I mean, the child should not suffer. The parents are anyway suffering. I'm a parent now of very young kids, and I can definitely empathize with parents of kids who are not getting the kind of help that they need. So be careful, buyer beware. Don't just blindly, of course, there is a level of trust that is required between a therapist and a parent, or a therapist and a client, or a therapist and a patient. But remember, therapists are not God, and not all therapists are created equal, like not all doctors are created equal, and not all nobody's created equal. So question your therapist, use your instincts. If your instincts are telling you something is wrong, or something the therapist is doing is not working, you will know. So please use your common sense, use your brains, use your parental instincts. Again, I'm saying, especially where your kids are concerned. And please be careful if there is a link between the psychologist and the psychiatrist, or the person referring you to them. There is some sort of incentive or some sort of conflict of interest, because that is so unethical in my mind, and I don't know how this person is still operating and is considered to be a leading child psychologist, and the person's spouse is the leading child psychiatrist. It does not fit well, and these people should, their licenses should be revoked. It should not work like that. But I hope there's some message you can take away from this. So, as I said, please check out episode 20, and if you like episode 20, you don't want to miss episode 21, which I will release soon. Take care, guys. All the best. Cheers.